Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and the other day I made a video talking about the Reaper meta and just talking about the best Reaper comp that you could set up when going into quick play or competitive, and just creating this whole entire team that you could try to build around Reaper with. Today though, we're going to show you guys how to counter it. Now the reason why I wanted to do both videos talking about how you can play Reaper just a little bit better and also talking about how you can counter it is because, well, a lot of people are going to get frustrated with Reaper. People are not going to really understand how to really counter him, even though it's pretty obvious how you can do it. However, I always try to compare it to like trying to act around your crush, right? Because we all know what to do. You're supposed to act like yourself. You're supposed to be yourself, and if she likes you, well, she's gonna like your personality. But we don't ever do that. We try to be someone that we're not supposed to. Same thing with the Reaper meta and try to counter it. We all kind of know what to do, but we don't ever do it. So in this video, it'll just sort of remind you and maybe even show you some other heroes that you can use to try to counter Reaper, but also tell you guys importantly what not to use against Reaper, because people know how to counter it, but they also don't know what to switch off of, and that's a very key part about Overwatch that so many people forget, especially with this new Reaper meta. And like I said before, any type of team comp can work to try to win the game. Reaper isn't the only hero that you can use to try to get the win. You can sometimes use a McCree, you can even sometimes use a Hanzo, a Pharah. There's so many different team comps that you can try to build around to get the W. However, Reaper I feel like is the most effective hero currently. So how do you counter it? What are some heroes that you need to use, and what do you need to switch off of? Well, let's just get it started. So here is the duh part of the video, but still people really don't understand it fully yet. But really, you have to realize Reaper is a shotgun hero. He's gonna be up close and personal. He's gonna be at the front lines. He's not supposed to be in the back lines. He's not supposed to be sniping people, because that's not how shotguns work in video games most of the time. We've all played shotgun, just guns in games, in Halo and Call of Duty, whatever the case may be. So we've known this for many years. So the key part that you have to remember is that range is gonna beat Reaper 10 out of 10. So the best heroes to try to kill the Reaper, and you can kind of tell where I'm going with this. If you're thinking range, it's just kind of logically thinking, you're going to want to pick a Pharah, you're going to want to pick a Soldier 76, or you're going to want to pick a McCree. More than likely, a Pharah is going to be a lot better, because not only is she going to be far away, she's also going to be in the sky. So even if she's on top of the Reaper, the distance is still going to be there. Whereas if you're playing Soldier 76 or McCree, if you're kind of even somewhere close to Reaper, they have no reason just to go right into your face. Reaper can't really fly into the sky unless he goes on top of a building. So really, the best hero to try to counter Reaper is going to be Pharah. Now, not everyone can play Pharah, so that's where like Soldier and McCree can come to play, because, well, okay, they can try to take out the Reaper, but not only that, they can just be a lot more diverse in terms of who they're kind of targeting on the field. So if you do want to play Pharah, that's probably the best way that you can go, because you just have an aerial advantage over Reaper, and if not that, then Soldier 76 and McCree are going to be your top dogs. Now, that's for the DPS. Now, that's for someone that, okay, what are we going to use to kill the Reaper? But now you have to also consider, what do we not want to have on the field? What do we not want the Reaper to try to kill us with? So you have to remember the role of Reaper. Yes, he is going to be at the front lines, but he's also a big tank buster, because, well, he just has the shotgun. Some people really want to try to argue that he's not a tank buster, but you got to imagine, he's not going to be trying to snipe the Pharah out of the sky. He's not going to be really diving the Widowmaker. What his main job is to try to get all his shotgun pellets into the body of an enemy. Well, what's a big target that can absorb all those bullets? A tank. So really, what you don't want on the field, if possible, which it's still smart to have, you should always try to have tanks, but try to switch up your tank roles is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to tell you guys not to have tanks, but really look at your tanks, look at if they're feeding the Reaper, and try to switch it up a little bit. So for example, if you want to just take two tanks, let's say a popular tank right now is Winston, and if you want to take someone like Roadhog, beforehand Roadhog would low-key counter Reaper. Well, now he's not really able to get the one shot on a lot of heroes, so really those two heroes are just going to be a big giant health pack for Reaper. And the biggest thing about him is that he not only has healers to sustain him, but he can also sustain himself. I almost got tripped up on my words right there. So really, you have to switch up those tanks, because one, you should always try to have tanks, but you really don't want to be feeding the Reaper one ult charge HP and just being able to let him just have a field day with you, because, well, again, you're not going to have a lot of protection with those two heroes. Winston's bubble kind of does count, but really you're just going to be feeding Reaper, and that's the most important part that people really do honestly forget about. So what are some tanks that you can try to switch up to try to counter this Reaper? Well, again, it's really hard, because Reaper is a tank buster, and all the tanks in that class really can sustain Reaper. Like, Reaper can honestly counter every single one of them in certain aspects. Now, in some ways, there are heroes that can still try to counter him and try to also protect your team. So two main tanks that you really want to try to use is going to be one, a Zarya, and two, a D.Va. D.Va, though, okay, so whenever whenever I see a diva, I get excited because, well, if I'm playing Reaper, sure, the defense matrix might counter me for like 4 seconds, but once that defense matrix is down, oh my god, I'm just gonna load it in diva. That sounded so wrong now that I just said, oh my god. All sexual jokes aside, Zarya is just a great tank to try to, one, just protect yourself, but also protect another hero on your team, and it also allows you to get a little bit of charge. So really, Zarya is the best tank that you should probably have when they do have a Reaper. However, Reaper can still totally destroy Zarya, but at least here you have a little bit of better chance. Now, D.Va, on the other hand, like I said before in a sexual joking way, once the defense matrix is gone, I'm just gonna just fire into the D.Va as much as I can because, well, it's a big 600 HP hero right there. I'm gonna have so much health just by targeting this D.Va. That's what I think whenever I play Reaper. So really, you have to think, what is that Reaper doing, and what do we need to do to try to counter what their plan is? More than likely, if you have a good Reaper on your team, sure, they're gonna go after like the Lucio and the Mercy, but when I'm playing Reaper, I'm going after the tanks. That's my main job. I'm going tunnel vision and just going straight after them. So try to be careful when you are playing tanks because you are a counter, but you're also a low-key feeder. Now for the healers, you obviously have to have healers, and I always say Mercy is one of the best healers in the game right now. That resurrection ability is so powerful. So a smart Mercy really isn't gonna die by Reaper that much because she's gonna go diner dash. She's gonna go from one hero to another hero. But again, if there is a smart Reaper, they're gonna go after the tanks, but they're also gonna focus the Mercy because Reaper can just straight up body that Mercy, and you should always try to focus the Mercy. So if you want to try to switch it up just a little bit, definitely go with the Lucio because that way you can just boop the Reaper far away so that he isn't just in tickle distance and being able just to fire into your team. Another hero that you can try to use, which again it's a great hero, but if you're 1v1ing a Reaper, this hero is gonna die 10 times out of 10, but I'm gonna say Zenyatta. So the reason for Zenyatta, again, you have to focus the Reaper to take him out of the field. If you put Discord orb on him and you maybe have like a Zarya just focusing him, if you have a soldier just focusing him, he's gonna be able to die. He's not gonna know what to do, and he's not gonna know what hit him. So again, 2 healers that are pretty solid, but if you're having trouble, if your Mercy just continues to die, definitely switch to a Lucio. That way you can just boop the Reaper away if he is focusing on one of your tanks, or maybe the Mercy. And Zenyatta, it's more of a toss-up. Again, it's just an idea, but it's still there if you want a different type of hero. And that's just a basic setup that you can try to use to counter Reaper. So you just have to remember the buff that he did receive. He's able to receive 20% for every damage that he does deal into the enemy. So theoretically, if you have a bunch of squishy heroes, if Reaper just destroys one of them, he's only going to gain 40 HP, where beforehand he would gain 50 HP with those orbs. So he kind of does gain a little bit less HP. But if you do have big tanky heroes, let's say this, if you try to go with Season 3 strats, if you just have big tanky heroes trying to do the World of Tank meta, Reaper's just going to live forever. Obviously that's an exaggeration. Obviously he's not going to live forever. He's going to get taken out. But really, he's going to have so much sustainability, and that's the biggest thing you have to remember, is that you don't want Reaper to be able just to take out your whole entire team because, well, you just have big health HP heroes right there. So that's why I said I suggested a lot of smaller HP heroes. Now that might be bad theoretically because, well, one, you're not going to be able to build the Mercy ult if you do have a Mercy on your team, and also you're going to be easily taken out by maybe other DPS. Maybe they have a godlike soldier, or maybe they also have a godlike Pharah. So it just takes consideration of, okay, what does the enemy have? But really, this was just a basic video to try to counter the Reaper, not really counter the whole entire team that the enemy does have, because I've seen some teams where they had literally just one Reaper carry the whole entire team because, well, he's just a great DPS hero, but he has to be smart. And I feel like that's a little toss-up with Reaper that people are kind of forgetting, is that yes, he can deal out a lot of damage, but you still have to be smart with it. That's why I didn't really suggest the heroes like Genji and Tracer, because while those 2 heroes are kind of good counters for Reaper, what requires them to be effective is to be in the enemy's face. And if you're trying to destroy that Reaper, you have to either, 1, have great accuracy, or 2, be very careful, know that your abilities, and know when to get out, because you have to be in the Reaper's face. And if the Reaper catches you off guard with your pants down, he's just gonna fire 2 bullets and you're done. Especially if your Tracer fires 2 bullets at the head and you're totally done. Genji, again, is a great counter, but you have to be very smart with your deflect and just know how to use Genji. Genji is just a hero that I can make a video all on its own. But really, this was just a short little video just showing you guys the possibilities of some counters for Reaper. Just remember, you have to be at range. Range is going to kill Reaper 10 times out of 10. If you want to play a hero like Genji or Tracer to try to counter this Reaper, it is possible, but you have to be very careful. And in terms of the tanks, be very smart. D.Va is a good hero to try to counter Reaper, but you have to be smart with your defense matrix. If I see a Reaper Reaper, I'm not going to play D.Va because I'm not smart with her. So really, you just have to realize that and realize what you have to just switch up on your team. If a Reaper is destroying you and you're not switching anything up, well, the Reapers just kind of have a field day. So that's the biggest problem that people aren't realizing. So just a short little video. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.